Hey guys, Paul here today with another video. We're going to talk about choosing a bodybuilding coach, an online coach. So a few things before we do that. Please take the time to subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy my videos, that would be the best way for you to show your appreciation. I am doing this for free out of the kindness of my heart, so please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer each and every one of them and potentially use them on a future Q&A. If you want to get in contact with me, my contact information is in the video description. I am at Paul K. Barnett on Instagram, and you can email me at bigp3rd@gmail.com and hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. So choosing a bodybuilding coach, there are, okay, so I coach a few people, not a ton. I don't have a ton of time, but I've talked to a lot of coaches. There's a responsibility that lies on the coach, and there's also a responsibility that lies on the trainee. And I think a lot of people hire a coach before they are willing to commit to what it takes to get results. Your coach can't get results if you are not doing the work and following instructions. And if you're lying to your coach, which I think a lot of people do, they say they're doing this, they're doing that, and they're not really doing it. It makes it hard for the coach to make adjustments, and really, it's frustrating and a waste of time. The few people I help, I genuinely want to get them results, and if they aren't listening to me, it just feels like a waste of my time, and I honestly don't like working with people like that, to be truthful. I know some guys will just take the money and run. I don't like that. I feel like my time would be better devoted to someone who will actually listen to me, and so I don't chase after people if you're not doing the work that's necessary to get results. So, first of all, on you as the trainee, you have a responsibility. No matter who you choose as your coach, you need to be ready to commit to a structured diet. That means weighing and measuring your food. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to, coaches, and I've worked with and tried to help, that think the diet is fucking optional. They just do. They don't follow the diet. Oh, coach, it was a rough week. I didn't have time to follow the diet, or next week I'll get on it. You're never going to get results. People don't want to hear this, but the diet is the most important factor. Everybody thinks it's PEDs. Everybody thinks there's some secret training program. Most people think it's the PEDs. None of that shit works if you aren't eating a structured diet. I promise you, it doesn't. So if you aren't willing to follow a structured diet, save your money. Just save your money. You're wasting your money. You're wasting your money, and you're wasting your coach's time. A structured training program. I am not as much of a stickler on this as some coaches are. But you should be following a structured training program. I like my way of training, but it doesn't work for everybody. I get the training is sort of an individual journey. So that is something that you have to find. Ultimately, I think the best training program is the one that you will enjoy and that you will stick to. I do think that high volume training is the most productive for bodybuilding. I will say that, but not everybody enjoys high volume training. Some guys want to be strong. They want to train like a power bodybuilder. I don't think that's the best for maximum results, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. If you want to compete, though, my preference is to follow my way of training because I think it is the most effective. Listening to your coach. If you're going to argue, like, I can't tell you how many times I have guys that'll come to me and I'll tell them what I want them to do, and then they fucking argue with me about it. I don't mind questions. Questions are fine. Questions are fine. We can talk through the logic, and maybe we can adjust things based on your specific goals. But if you tell me your specific goals, and then I work with you, and you don't listen to what I have to say, and you're going to continue doing what you want to do, then why are you hiring a coach if you're going to do your own fucking thing? It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of everybody's time. Waste of my time. Waste of your time. And clearly, if what you were doing was working, you wouldn't be hiring a coach. So, that's just my 2 cents on that. be willing to pay for quality advice. A lot of guys want free shit all the time. This stuff takes time, and time is worth money. This is just something I do on the side for fun. I have a business I run, and most coaches, they have other things that they're doing. Be respectful of that time. And if you're going to ask for programs and advice, be willing to pay a reasonable amount for it. I try to keep things affordable for people, because I know everybody doesn't have a budget, but my time is worth money. I consult for a living, and I bill way more for consulting than I do for this shit. So if you're going to be pounding me for advice, be willing to pay for it. It does get annoying when guys are constantly asking for advice for free. I do my best to help everybody, but so if you're going to hire a coach, don't pound them with questions and not be willing to pay for it. It's disrespectful, just to be blunt about it. And commit to proper check-ins. Nothing is more annoying than people missing check-ins, and you have to chase them down to make sure that they're doing their check-in. If you're not willing to even, chances are, I think most of the time that people they miss the check-in or avoid the check-in is because they haven't been following the diet or the program. They haven't been doing what you're telling them to do, so they just duck the check-in. Just save your money and save everybody's time. Don't hire a coach if you're not willing to do that. All right, so things that your coach should be doing. Willing to answer questions. I've run into coaches. I've worked with several coaches myself in the past. I like having a coach. It's hard to be objective about yourself. I think I know what I'm doing, and I have the knowledge and capability of doing things on my own, but I like to have somebody I can bounce ideas off of that has a different view and experience than I do, and someone I can learn from. So that coach, one very important thing, should be willing to answer questions. And that should be a red flag for you if coach doesn't want to answer questions. I've had coaches in the past that are say, just shut up and do what I tell you to do. Don't ask questions. That doesn't work for me. I want to know why. I don't, me personally, I sound like I'm contradicting myself here, but I do think I know what works well, but I also don't mind people asking questions. And sometimes we find out that there's a reason why people want to do something different, and we adjust. And a lot of times people just want to understand the why. I'm a person who wants to understand the why, and a coach should always be willing to answer questions. You're paying for their expertise and for their consultation. That's the way a consultative relationship works. You are ultimately paying that person for their consultation and advice. The coach should be willing to customize your program based on your goals. I know a lot of people have a cookie cutter approach, and they don't like adjusting. They know what works for them, and they think it will work for everybody else. And one thing I have learned is everybody's physiology is unique. Certain people respond different ways to certain PEDs. What works for someone else, someone doesn't work for someone else. I've run into that in the past myself, where I've told coaches, man, this is not agreeing with me. I don't feel right. I'm not responding. Something's wrong. And they just, they're just like, shut up and do what I tell you. It worked for me. Well, it didn't work for me. So, it's a collaboration. And you work together to figure out what works for you. And sometimes that takes time. You start off, don't be upset if a coach gives you a somewhat of a cookie cutter program to start off with. But what is a sin and incorrect is if those programs are not adjusted along the way. And sometimes things do work the way you think they're going to work out of the gate. I have a questionnaire I have people go through, and I ask pretty detailed questions about what has worked and what's not worked for them and where they're at. And I'll try to make adjustments based on their unique feedback. And I try to give them a program that fits their physiology. And everybody's different, but sometimes that is a thing that you really have to learn over time. Another thing I think I would tell people is a month or just a one-off diet is not enough to really get results. You have to commit to work with a coach, I think, for a year. I think it takes a good, solid year to figure out how somebody works and to get into a groove with them. I go year by year with my coach. Last year my coach, we kind of, he and I worked together and we kind of goofed up the contest prep a little bit towards the end, which was fine. I don't hold it against him. It was part of my feedback, and so we learn, we moved on, and we get better. That's how it works. So this is a bit subjective at times. Your coach should also be responsive. I have had issues with coaches I have worked with in the past. I'll send them an email. I don't hear from them 2, 3, 4 days, and I got to keep poking them, asking them for a response. You're paying for that coach's time, and that relationship there goes both ways. You both need to be respectful of each other's time. You as the client should only reach out to the coach if it's a question that is necessary, and understand that coach has other obligations, family, life, whatever. And the same goes for the coach. The coach should be responsive. You're paying them for their time. They should be responsive. I don't, it pisses me off if I have to chase somebody down to get a response out of them. Either way, whether I'm paying or they're paying me. Thoughts and warnings. Just some stuff I see. I think people get too fascinated with celebrity names. They want to go have X pro be their bodybuilding coach, or X Instagram influencer be their bodybuilding coach. I will tell you, most of these famous top end motherfuckers, like a lot of the top bodybuilders, and I hate to stereotype here, but most bodybuilders are fucking morons. They just are. I've talked to them. They have no clue what they're doing. And they just listen to their coach, and they're riding off their name. I'm not saying there aren't guys out there that aren't experts and aren't responsive. There clearly are. And I also think it's hard to commit to clients when you have your own commitments, when you're trying to compete. And, they have all these other obligations. And there are a few pro bodybuilders I've heard are excellent coaches, but I would say the majority of them suck. And the same thing with Instagram influencers. And I've heard a lot of these guys don't even do the coaching themselves. They have other people responding to the emails. They have other people putting the programs together. I forget the name of the company. There was some company that a lot of these guys were contracting with to actually do all the programs. And, I'm not going to name names, but some of these super famous, like top Olympia competitors that are doing coaching aren't actually doing it themselves. Somebody else is doing it for them, and they're just branding it as their own thing. That should be a red flag. So just look out for that. An important thing for me is somebody that understands the marriage of science and practical experience, both. I see these guys, all the time, the muscle PhDs that don't have any fucking muscle. These guys are quoting studies and looking at all this shit, and they've never actually fucking been big. So I don't know how much weight I would put into their knowledge. Some people get too wrapped around the science end of it, and I love the science end of it. So I'm not trying to disparage that, but that's an important thing to me. But someone who can marry the practical experience with the science. Sometimes the practical experience, stuff may look good on a paper, but we know that it's not true in practicality. Another red flag is there is a group of coaches that just push high doses of dangerous PEDs, because if you give people enough juice, that you're going to get results. You can be on a shitty diet, you can be on a shitty training program, and if you push the dosages enough, you will get results. So be wary of those guys. I tend to gravitate towards the people that take a conservative approach out of the gate, and then work from there and adjust up from there. I think that is the best way to go. You learn someone's physiology. I think it's reckless to be recommending high doses right out of the gates. And also, if you are going to be a competitive bodybuilder, this might not be true for a lifestyle fitness coach, but if you want to be a competitive bodybuilder, I think it is important to work with someone who has competed in bodybuilding. They don't have to be a pro, but someone who understands what it's like to go through the process of competing in bodybuilding. You just can't quantify it until you've experienced it yourself. That's all I'm saying. I know there are examples of people that have never competed that have ended up being great coaches. It's the same thing in the NFL. I know there are coaches that have been NFL football coaches that have never played a day of football in their life that end up being great coaches. But I do think there is some value to someone who has competed, their unique experience and advice that they can give you that another person cannot. All right, guys, that's all I've got on this one. Hopefully this was helpful. When you go to choose a coach, look out for these things. I have had a coach pretty much my entire adult life at some point or another. So I've been through several, and these are the things that I look for and I value in a coach. Take care, guys.